Hello everyone. Today in the subject of medical microbiology, we are going to study about arbovirus. So the main objective of this lecture is to give you a brief introduction about arbovirus and what are its harmful effects. And the outcome will be that you will be able to understand uh, the prevention and cure of the different diseases caused by arbovirus. So arbovirus is an informal name for any virus that is transmitted by arthropod vector. The phylum Arthropoda is the largest phylum that is present is the oldest time on Earth. Now they have transformed themselves and the insects with segmented uh, wings and segmented appendages and segmented structure, chitin structure, they all come under the phylum or arthropoda. So, what are the name of those organisms? Like ticks, right, flies, and you can say that mosquitoes, cockroaches, grasshoppers, they all are from phylum arthropoda. And arbovirus is basically the virus, the disease that is transmitted by arthropod vectors. The term arbovirus is a uh, is a word that has been derived from arthropod borne virus. So, in order not to say such a huge term, arthropod borne virus, it is said that arbovirus, tibovirus, or tick-borne virus is sometimes used to more specifically describe viruses transmitted by ticks, a superorder within the arthropods. Okay, so it is also a type of arbovirus disease, but it is known as tibovirus because it is transmitted by ticks. Arbovirus can affect both animals, including humans, and plants also. So these viruses are fully capable of affecting animal, plants, and human. So specifically, if we see the nature of the arbovirus, like most of the phylum arthropod species, they live in the open. Okay, they are insects, and this arbovirus types, they are mostly transmitted by them. So they whenever they will come in contact with humans, they will cause some sort of disease. Whenever they will come in contact with animals, they will cause some sort of disease. And whenever they will come in contact with plants, they will also cause some sort of disease. So in humans, symptoms of arbovirus infection generally occurs at the time period of 3 to 15 days after the exposure to the virus and last 3 or 4 days. So arbovirus requires an incubation time period of 3 to 15 days, and the infection also lasts for 3 to 4 days. So this is the duration of time period that arbovirus requires to infect an individual. The most common clinical feature of infection are fever, headache, and malaise. But encephalitis and viral hemorrhages fever may also occur. So, whenever you are getting infected from arbovirus, you must look into the context that what are your symptoms? Okay, what are the disease that you are having, and what are the symptoms you are experiencing? So, what is an arbovirus? Arbovirus is short for arthropod-borne virus. does not refer to one particular virus. Okay, it is not like, oh, this is rhabdovirus, this is AIDS virus. It is not like that. Rather, it refers to a type of virus transmitted via insect bites and feed on blood. Right. The speciality of the insect is that uh, it has to feed on the blood. This includes a large family of viruses. In fact, there are over 600 known arboviruses, and more than 80 of them are known human pathogens. So you must always be aware of that. The number of arbovirus is more than 600, and 80 of them are known to be specialists as being human pathogens. The resulting illness can range from mild to severe. Okay, you can have some sort of mild illness, then it can turn into very severe illness also. On a global scale, dengue virus may be the most challenging. So, why dengue virus is most challenging? Infecting 100 to 390 million people and leading to 12,500 deaths per year. So, dengue virus is very lethal. Okay, and it infects a huge number of population substantially and also kills a lot of people. So, this kind of arbovirus is also called to be very lethal. It spreads mostly through mosquitoes in underdeveloped, highly populated regions. So, what they are trying to tell you is that these type of diseases they are mostly found in regions that are underdeveloped and they are extremely populated. So these are the two conditions that are essential for the area of arbovirus. So some arbovirus can also lead to chikungunya fever, Colorado tick fever, Eastern equine encephalitis, Japanese bee encephalitis, La Crosse encephalitis, uh, Powassan virus infection, St. Louis encephalitis, West Nile fever infection, West equine encephalitis, yellow fever, Zika virus disease. So it gives headache, eye pain, fever, rashes, muscle aches, joint pain, back pain. So these are the major leading symptoms that one can easily face when he is suffering from arbor virus. So what is epidemiology? Most arboviruses are located in tropical areas. Like India is a tropical country. Okay. However, as a group, they have a global distribution. So, with the evident of globalization and transportation and trade in between the people, so arboviruses were typically found in tropical areas, but with the increase of globalization and individuals traveling from one country to another, it has readily increased its range substantially. Now it has reached in the countries that are not tropical in nature, right? The warm climatic conditions found in tropical areas allows a year-round transmission by the arthropod vectors. So, the tropical areas are generally warm or have warmer climate. Okay, and these arthropod vectors, they like mosquitoes, etc., and fleas, ticks, they are found all around the year. Okay, it is not like that conditions are going to turn into severely cold. climate and it will readily uh, kill every arthropod vector. No, but tropical countries or tropical regions don't have that speciality. Other important factors determine geographic distribution of arthropod vectors include rainfall, humidity, and vegetation. Mapping methods such as GIS, GPS have allowed for spatial and temporal analysis of arbovirus. So now we can determine the distribution of arbovirus with the help of GIS and GPS, and we can readily predict to which area it is substantially distributed. Tagging cases or breeding sites geographically has allowed for deeper examination of vector transmission. So, mostly what the experts are doing now with this technology, they are just straightway targeting the breeding grounds of this type of vector, okay, or arbovirus, so they can easily eliminate the threat from the population. To see the epidemiology of specific arboviruses, the following resources hold uh, the information. Who who is at risk? So, if the arbovirus is present, but what are the individuals who are just at exposed level of risk factor? Blood-sucking insects such as mosquito picks up the virus from birds and other host animals. Okay, so speciality is the blood-sucking insects. Insects who are always interested in sucking the blood of other animals like such as mosquitoes. They pick up virus especially from birds and other animals like cattle and all other things. The virus replicates inside the insect, but it does not cause illness to the insect. Okay, mainly the virus is picked up from some other animal, and inside that very insect or mosquito, that virus replicates itself. Okay. Meanwhile, following this procedure, it does not cause any sort of illness in the uh, vector or in the mosquito or the insect. The insect carries it around as it looks for its next meal. Okay, so meanwhile it is replicating inside the insect, and insect is moving around, or the mosquito is moving around. Okay, where I can bite someone and suck the blood out of him. So this is the procedure that is going on inside the mosquito, and meanwhile the virus is also replicating itself. So you become infected when the insect bites you. So when the insect will bite you, then you will definitely get infected. Okay, the virus will be transmitted into your own body. Most arbovirus are not transmitted from person to person, usually making humans dead and ghosts. So it is not a communicable disease. Okay, it is mostly transmitted with the help of vectors like mosquitoes and ticks, right? So it is not a contagious disease like COVID or coronavirus, but it is being transmitted to humans via mosquitoes. Okay, usually making humans a dead end host, and further it cannot go ahead. So we must understand that it is being transmitted into mosquitoes from animals and or birds, and from there the virus replicates inside the insect, and when insect comes into contact with the human uh, and bites a human, and with that process, the arbovirus is straightway transmitted into the body of the individual, and where it infects the individual. A few expectations are dengue fever and yellow fever, which can be transmitted from person to person through insect bites, such as West Nile virus, Colorado tick virus, and dengue may be spread through blood products, blood transfusion, or organ donation. So, it is generally very much easily understood that this disease is present in the blood of the individual. So, whenever you are coming into contact of uh, blood of the individual, you are more likely to contract this disease. Anyone can contract an arbovirus, no matter where they live. Okay, so it is very common, and it is generally understood wherever you live, you can easily contract this type of disease. You risk your risk may increase if, what are the conditions? You live in or travel to a mosquito or tick infested area where outbreaks tend to occur. So, when you are visiting some sort of place that is of tropical origin, or the area it is very much infested by ticks and mosquitoes, you should be extra cautious. Okay, and because of those things, you should protect yourself. So, in these areas, it is very much likely that you may get infected because of the arbovirus. It's mosquito season, so whenever you are going outside and you see rainy and tropical season, then you must avoid going to such places. You have a compromised immune system. If your immune system is not up to the mark and you can catch very easily the infections and cold, then you must be extremely careful. You are younger than 10 years old, 10 or older than 60, right? It is also very important that if you are younger than 10 and older than 60, especially the individuals who have immunocompromised diseases, like individuals who are younger than 10, they are in the continuation of developing a fully capable immune system, and individuals who are older than 60, the senior citizens, they are uh, their immune system is getting weakened day by day. So both these type of individuals, they do have a immunocompromised condition. Some people are asymptomatic, and others may have only mild symptoms. So not only all the people will get sick. Some people will remain asymptomatic, and others can have really very mild symptoms. Because of this, arbovirus may be uh, underreported. So most of the time, this proper reporting has not been done on arbovirus, although it is present there, although it is causing infection among the individuals, and it has been proven to be lethal. But reporting is not up to the mark yet, because of the reason that most of the infection are asymptomatic in nature or very mild symptoms are there. So, following that scenario, uh, proper work is required to be done on arbovirus. Signs and symptoms. Incubation period. The time between when infection occurs and when symptoms appear varies from virus to virus, but it is usually limited between 2 to 15 days for arbovirus. During that period of time, you can see the duration of infection of arbovirus. The majority of infection, however, are asymptomatic that we have studied. Among the cases in which symptoms do appear, symptoms tend to be non-specific, resembling flu-like illness, and are not indicative of a specific causative agent. So, whenever we are studying about viral diseases, what we see, they all have symptoms that are flu-like. So, initially, the individual is not at all aware that is he having a common flu or any sort of specific type of disease, right? So, these symptoms include fever, headache, molasses, rash, and fatigue. Rarely, vomiting and hemorrhage fever may occur. Rarely. The central nervous system can also be affected by infection, as encephalitis and meningitis are sometimes observed. So, not all individuals are going to develop this sort of condition. Encephalitis and meningitis can appear, but rarely. Prognosis is good for most people, but is poor in those who develop severe symptoms, with up to 20% of mortality rate in this population depending on the virus. So, prognosis means when the initial onset or the starting of the infection, everything is up to the mark. Okay, none of the individuals are showing uh, extreme cases of symptoms or very high fever. But the condition changes in those individuals who are having uh, the cases that are already severe. Then, especially in the cases which are severe, the mortality rate is approximate 20%. And this depending on the severity and nature of the virus. This the very young, elderly, pregnant women, and the people with immune deficiency are more likely to develop severe symptoms. So, this virus targets specifically the um, rare portion of human populations that are specifically immunocompromised. So, it is very likely to that these people can especially develop a very severe condition if they get infected by arbovirus. So, symptoms of infection. It is not usual for someone who is infected to have no symptoms at all. If you do have symptoms, they can start anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks after you have been bitten. They can be similar to those of mild cases like flu, but severe life-threatening symptoms can also occur. Arbovirus can cause different types of illness such as encephalitis, uh, meaning inflammation of the brain, uh, febrile disease, which involves a fever sometimes accompanied by rash, hemorrhage fever, which cause damage to blood vessels, bleeding out of broken blood vessels, and fever. So, who gets arboviral infection, especially? Anyone can get arboviral infection, but young children and elderly appear to be most affected. Young children may experience more severe illness with East equine encephalitis and certain types of California encephalitis. So, this infection gets severe among the population that is immunocompromised. People who travel uh, to or reside in areas where certain arboviruses are commonly found are at risk of getting arboviral infection. For example, chikungunya is frequently found in Africa, Asia, and uh, Caribbean, Latin America, where whereas Powassan virus is frequently found in northeastern and Great Lakes region of United States. So wherever you are going to find these tropical conditions, you will always find the presence of such type of arbovirus or uh, the vectors of arbovirus. Arbovirus found in New York State include West Nile virus, East equine encephalitis virus, Jamestown Canyon virus, La Crosse virus, South River virus, Potosi virus, Cache Valley virus, the Boston and deer tick viruses. So transmission. Many female mosquitoes, like those of Aedes uh, albactopictus, require vertebrate blood meal in order for their eggs to develop. Arbovirus maintain themselves in nature by ongoing through a cycle between a host, an organism that carries the virus, and the vector, an organism that carries and transmits the virus to the organism. So this is the whole cycle through which the infection is traveling from one person to another. For arbovirus, vectors are commonly mosquitoes, ticks, sandflies, and other arthropods that consume blood of vertebrates for nutritious and developmental purposes. Vertebrates which have their blood consumed act as hosts with which each vector generally have an affinity for blood of specific species, making the species the host. Transmission between the vector and the host occurs when a vector feeds on the blood of the vertebrate organism, uh, wherein the virus that has established an infection in the salivary glands of the vector comes into the contact with the host blood. So it is mostly present in the salivary glands of the vector. While the virus is inside the host, it undergoes the process called amplification, where the virus replicates at a sufficient level to introduce vermia, a condition in which uh, there are large number of viruses present in the blood. So the main purpose is to increase the number of the virus in your blood and to inoculate you as a host. The abundance of viruses in the host blood allow the host to transmit the virus to other organisms if its blood is consumed by them. When infected vectors become infected from feeding, they are then capable of transmitting the virus to uninfected hosts, resuming amplification of virus population. If vermia is not achieved in a vertebrate, this the species can be called dead end host, as the virus cannot be transmitted back to the vector. An example of this vector-host relationship can be observed in the transmission of West Nile virus. Female mosquitoes of the genus Culex prefer to consume the blood of passerine blood birds, making them the host of the virus. When these birds are infected, the virus amplifies, potentially infecting multiple mosquitoes that feed on its blood. Okay, so female culex have infested the bird population, and whoever mosquito after that are going to infest on the blood of the bird will become infected. These infected mosquitoes may go on to further transmit the virus to more birds. If the mosquito is unable to find its preferred food source, it will choose another. Human blood is sometimes consumed, but since the West Nile virus does not replicate well in mammals, humans are considered as dead-end hosts. So, meanwhile, the whole life cycle of West Nile virus is uh, according to the activity of Culex female Culex mosquito, and its main aim to infect the birds. But accidentally, uh, this virus is not at all known to be really very effective in infecting human populations. How it is diagnosed? Your doctor will assess your symptoms and perform a physical examination to help determine what tests are needed. Be sure to tell your doctor if you recently traveled outside the country or if you have been bitten by an insect. That information can offer clues about the type of virus you have. Some of the ways your doctor can identify a specific virus include blood tests and cerebrospinal fluid testing through a spinal tap or lumbar puncture. If you have symptoms of encephalitis, your doctor may order MRI of the head. Treatment options. So, coming on to the whole scenario of the disease, you can easily see that how this disease is being transmitted from one species to another. Right. Mostly, you have seen that arbovirus infection are not meant to be transferred in humans. Into humans. Okay. Most of the time, this disease move around in between mosquitoes and birds, mosquitoes and birds, mosquitoes and other hosts. But somewhat accidentally, humans are also included. So some virus they are very successful in multiplying inside humans, and humans are dead at host. Disease cannot travel further ahead of humans. Okay, they do not transfer the disease to other species, but in the process, humans are also known as dead end species. So when it comes to the treatment, what are the things that you can see? There are no specific medication or therapies to rid your body of an arbovirus. Okay, there is no specialized medicine. When it comes to most of the majority of the viral diseases, we still do not have specific medication therapies. Treatment involves careful monitoring and symptom relief. So what they do in every viral disease, they just cure the symptoms. If the patient is showing some sort of symptom, they just treat the symptom. They do not, doctors do not use the medication to eliminate the disease. They just treat the symptoms as long as you are going to have them. Get plenty of rest and drink lots of fluid to avoid dehydration in this whole scenario. So most of the time you should always drink a lot of water. Keep yourself hydrated, okay, and take plenty of rest. If your fever rises, your symptoms get worse, seek medical attention. So if you're having trouble with the body temperature and having trouble with the fever, then the situation is getting worse, then you should always seek medical attention because it is very important. So keeping yourself well rested and also drinking lots of fluid in order to avoid dehydration. Depending on which virus you have and the symptoms it causes, your doctor may monitor your blood pressure and heart rate, temperature and respiration. Firstly, okay, to see what is the condition of your blood and what is the condition of blood pressure and what rate heart rate at what pace heart rate is going on, what is the temperature and respiration condition. Monitor for and control any bleeding. Okay, is there any sort of bleeding that is occurring? Administer intravenous fluid or IV fluid. Prescribe medication to reduce fever and pain. Okay, medications are also very important. So medication is just focusing on the symptoms. If the particular individual is having those kind of symptoms, then they should be administered with the medicine. In the most severe cases, life support may be necessary, such as breathing tube hooked to a mechanical ventilator. Okay, if the condition is getting severe and severe, in those cases, a mechanical ventilator is also needed and required. So here you can see the reservoir virus host and how it is infecting others. Virus is transmitted to mosquito. Mosquito is the primary vector, and virus is transmitted back to the bird. But problem occurs when the mosquito, the bridge vector, uh, bites the mammals, okay, or vertebrates. So they are known as dead and or incidental hosts. So the cycle is somewhat related in between birds and mosquitoes, but the mosquito is also transmitting this disease to mammals, and but mammals are dead end hosts. Disease cannot further travel through them. So this image specifically signifies the scenario via which the disease is being transmitted from uh, birds to mosquitoes and mosquito to birds. Meanwhile, the mosquito is the primary vector, and mosquito acts as a bridge vector in transmitting the disease to vertebrates that include animals and humans. Outlook: the arbovirus must run its course. It has to complete its life cycle. Most people make a complete recovery, although severe illness is possible. Okay, it has to complete its life cycle incubation period. Then it will move ahead and it will leave your body, and you will completely recover. Neurologic damage or death can happen, but it is not common. Rarely, a neurologic damage or death occurs. There are many types of strains of arbovirus, so having had one does not necessarily prevent you from becoming infected again. So there is a variety of arboviruses. If you get infected by one, you will again get infected by another. So it is not like that. Okay, once I had the disease, I will not again have such kind of disease. Taking preventive measures can reduce your risk for future infection. It is very much important that you pay attention and stay close to the details and protect yourself. With a few exceptions, vaccinations are not available for most arboviruses. For example, a vaccine for yellow fever is available. It is recommended for people who are at least 9 months old who live in or will have to travel to high risk in Southern America or Africa. There is also a vaccine for Japanese encephalitis. It it's recommended for people who live in rural area, parts of Asia where the virus is common, as well as the travelers who plan to remain there for a long period of time. Europe, Russia, and China have vaccines for tick-borne encephalitis, and a moderately effective vaccine for dengue fever is in use in some countries outside United States. So scientists have completely formulated the vaccine of dengue virus also. How to prevent the infection? The main method is to prevent insect prevention is by insect control. So here are some steps to protect your home. Reduce stagnant water, which is an effective breeding ground for insects. Get rid of old tires, pots, uh, and any other container that hold water, or empty them after rain. If you have recycling containers outside, drill holes uh, in the bottom of for drainage, empty wading pools, and turn them uh, at night. Turn them over at night. So if you are having water pools, then you have to empty them and change the water in your bird bath at least twice per week. So these are all breeding grounds for mosquitoes. So vector control measures, especially mosquito control, are especially essential. Redu- essential reducing on transmission of disease by arboviruses. Habitat control involves draining swamps and removal of other pools of stagnant water. Okay, that often serves as a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Insecticides can be applied in rural and urban areas, inside houses and other buildings, or in outdoor environments. Uh, they are often quite effective for controlling arthropod population through the use of some of these chemicals, uh, though the use of some of these chemicals is controversial. And some organophosphates, organochlorides such as DDT have been banned in many countries. Infantile male mosquitoes have been introduced in some areas in order to reduce the breeding rate of relevant mosquito species. Larvicides are also used worldwide in mosquito uh, uh, controlling programs. So, special steps are being taken. Arboviral encephalitis can be prevented in two major ways: personal protective measures and public health measures to reduce the population of infected mosquitoes. Personal measures include reducing time outdoors, particularly in early evening hours, wearing long pants and long sleeve shirts, and applying mosquito repellent to exposed skin areas. Public health measures often require spraying of insecticide to kill juvenile and adult mosquitoes. If you have a swimming pool outside, in the outdoor hot tub, keep it clean and chlorinated. Don't allow water to cool on the top of the covers. Inspect window and door screens to make sure you have a good fit, free of gaps. Repair or replace damaged screens. Keep shrubbery around your home under control. Clear your gutter of leaves and other debris. To limit the exposure when outdoors, cover as much as your skin possible. Be especially careful at dusk and dawn when mosquitoes are most active. At those times, it's a good idea to tuck your pant legs into your socks. Wear tight color, wear light colored clothing to help you spot ticks quickly. Use insect repellents when you are in mosquito or tick infected areas. To travel smart when planning to trip outside the country, ask your doctor for vaccination. if they are appropriate. When camping, cover your skin, use insect repellents, and sleep within a mosquito netting. So here are some MCQs. Which of the following statements is true regarding arbovirus? Yellow fever is endemic in India. Virus has only one serotype. Uh, KFD is transmitted by ticks. Mosquito of Culex uh, vishnui complex is a vector of dengue fever. So KFD is transmitted by ticks. First human disease proved to have a viral etiology was yellow fever. Which of the following is a characteristic of arbovirus? Uh, are transmitted by insect vectors. So arbovirus is transmitted by mostly by arthropod vectors. Arbovirus cause the following disease except pneumonia. Are all are flavivirus except chikungunya. In Japanese encephalitis, pigs acts as amplifier for the disease agents. Uh, vertebrate reservoir of Japanese encephalitis is herons. Culex Treti neo orphincus is a vector for encephalitis B virus. The vector of Japanese encephalitis in India is Culex vishnu. Which of the following is not spread by Aedes mosquito? Japanese encephalitis. So these are the references from where we have collected our data. Thank you for listening to my lecture.